Star Trek Behind the Fold. Written and narrated by Riley Wright. Chapter 6. In the early morning hours, Kevin hurriedly packed and explained to his grandparents his plans. His grandfather nodded in secret understanding, while his grandmother pleaded, "So soon? Do you think that's wise?" Kevin hugged her. "I have something I need to do, Gran. I'll be back before you know it." He turned to depart, but his grandfather gripped his shoulder in parting. "Look after yourself, my boy. Don't keep us waiting long." They smiled at each other, eyes glistening at their shared truth. If we fail, it may be a long wait. He wiped his face with the back of his sleeve and joined Spock on the trail leading from the porch. His grandmother waved. "Come back any time, Spot." It took an incredible amount of restraint not to grab his commander by the arm and bolt for it. To his further embarrassment, Spock caught the mishap and asked, "Spot, was that not the name of your childhood pet?" "What? Kevin tried again, more calmly. "What?" "I saw a glimpse of a black dog during the meld. You called it Spot." "Great." Kevin laughed nervously. Must have misheard her. He trailed off. "His hearing is 10 times better than mine. Like hell he misheard her." To his immense relief, Spock didn't pursue the issue. Instead, he merely stated, "Charming woman." The shuttle base was a beehive of activity when they arrived by planetary transport. Kevin couldn't help but gape at the sight of the courier vessel, more spacious than he imagined. It was smooth, elegant, and the typical rust-red hues of Vulcan. It stood out strangely from the other vessels. "We stick out like a sore thumb." But this wasn't news to Spock. He had already taken great measures to conceal Kevin's identity, as if he knew that the young lieutenant would agree to join him. He handed Kevin a fake ID, which he stowed in his hoodie. According to the ID, he was Spock's cousin. "Your age and features are similar. However, your personalities could not be more different. I believe he is going through what my aunt described as a rebellious phase. It is most illogical." Kevin smirked. "A lot of humans do. Let me guess, he's sneaking out, getting drunk, meeting girls, and very withdrawn?" Spock failed to conceal his surprise. "It would seem you are correct. This is not uncommon behavior." "Fascinating." "He'll grow out of it. It's all part of discovering yourself, your identity and purpose, or confirming whether what your parents taught you is true." Kevin continued, "I did the same to my grandparents before I signed up for the academy. I knew I wanted to live a different life than they did, and wasn't sure what that looked like." Spock didn't reply, but Kevin could tell that he was mulling over the new information, that of a world he would forever be linked to, but never truly a part of. "Haven't you ever done anything rebellious? At least in your parents' eyes?" Kevin asked, curious despite himself. Spock frowned, powering up the ship. "I joined Starfleet against my father's wishes." Kevin grinned. "And now he's helping you save it." Amanda was relieved when Spock returned for them. Their time here had greatly tested her. The way her sister treated Sarek was unacceptable. Though he remained gracious and outwardly unbothered, she knew better. He was merely relying on his ambassadorial patience to weather the storm. Spock wasn't alone. The young officer, Kevin Riley, was with him, appearing rather shy and out of place in their presence. Amanda's sister turned her nose up at the new visitor, as if he were a stray cat. "I'm sorry, but who are you?" she asked, not too kindly. "A friend," Spock stated, acknowledging his parents with a slight nod. "Are you ready to leave?" Amanda forced herself to appear reluctant, a difficult task considering her desire to rush goodbyes. It wasn't that she didn't love her sister. Growing up, they had their differences, but always managed to remain close. Back when Amanda's heart was here, and not 16.5 light years away. She wished her sister would understand, that she would have taken the time to know Spock as a boy, and to see the deep, compassionate love Sarek shared with her. Maybe then. "I'm glad you stopped by," her sister said quietly. She nodded curtly to Sarek and Spock. "Safe travels." She hugged her stiffly as they departed. Sarek had refrained from many of his planet's customs in respect for Amanda. Instead of calling her to his side, he reached out his hand and she grasped it. She smiled, feeling like any other Earth woman, if only for a moment. Soon they boarded the ship and returned to their Vulcan ways. But Amanda never looked back with each visit, never once watched the orb of blue shrink out of sight, to be swallowed by a sea of stars. Especially when her heart sat directly in front of her. Spock's parents introduced themselves to Kevin after the awkward farewell in San Francisco. He saw them only once, during a diplomatic mission aboard the Enterprise. It astounded him how gentle, wise, and even humorous Amanda was. A seemingly stark contrast to Sarek, who gave off an impressive regal air. He pitied any man foolish enough to argue with him, as he was not one to easily concede. Even now, sitting so close to the ambassador made him feel inferior. He wondered how Spock had found the nerve to join Starfleet at all. Surely such an unbending man would never forgive it. It would be like breaking one of his ideals, one of his own laws, to... "Spock, before we set course toward your coordinates, it would be wise to commandeer another vessel, preferably of either Tellarite or Andorian design," Sarek reasoned. Kevin's jaw dropped. "Never mind." "Not to mention disguises. Your father already risked his neck leaving Vulcan unattended," Amanda added, noticing Kevin's curiosity. "As ambassador, I'm sure you can think of at least several Federation enemies who wouldn't hesitate to either kill, question, or hold my husband for ransom," she explained. "Then we should arm ourselves also," Kevin piped, wanting to contribute. "A ship that has defensive capabilities, maybe a runabout?" "And where are we going to find such a ship?" inquired Amanda skeptically. Spock's fingers danced over the helm console as Sarek faced her. "Starbase 7. Kevin gulped. "Granted, it's got everything we need and more, but it's heavily guarded. How can we expect to dock without authorization?" "It is a risk, weighing on the station's naivety regarding our current status," Spock admitted. "And what are the chances of that?" "It is illogical to assume that every fiber of Starfleet is corrupt, Mr. Riley. That being said, I do not currently possess the information to accurately calculate our chances of going unnoticed." Sarek added in confidence, "It is not uncommon for ambassadors and dignitaries to frequent the station, as it is a strategic location for negotiations and other diplomatic engagements to take place." Kevin sighed. "That may be, but I still don't like it." "Indeed." The cloaked vessel trailing them drew closer. "Orders, sir?" the spy asked over the comm. "Maintain position, Lieutenant. I want to know what they're up to before we take any actions. I'm deep in cover-ups as it is. Can't have all of Vulcan involved in a search for their ambassador." "Yes, sir." Kozak leaned back from the communications console in his starship quarters light years away. "I don't have to kill them. A threat will be enough to keep both father and son from making any more waves." He rubbed his eyes warily. "And that damned Riley, too." They all have weak points I can press if I run out of options. He reached for a sealed vial on his desk. It contained a glowing white liquid, the very same that had been pumped into Kevin and Spock's veins previously. He held it in the light, eyeing it thoughtfully. Let them investigate. We'll see how much of the truth survived the process before the final phase of our plan begins. Ambassador Sarek, we were not expecting you, sir. He inclined his head toward the view screen respectfully. There must have been a delay in communications. I am here on behalf of the Vulcan Embassy to retrieve some intelligence files. The communications officer seemed to be brimming with questions. He went to speak further, but Sarek cut him off. I understand your confusion. Unfortunately, that is all I am permitted to say. It is a confidential matter that requires my immediate attention. Oh, yes, sir. Sorry, sir. The officer swallowed nervously. You may dock at your convenience. The image of the officer disappeared as the transmission cut, revealing the large, formidable station. Kevin whistled, impressed. That was too easy. You will find that even my authority has limitations. Vulcan will be notified of my visit presently. I surmise that we have approximately 34.62 minutes to secure a vessel and possibly gather intel, Sarek explained. Intel here? The coordinates we are to investigate are not far. If anything abnormal occurred in or near this sector, Starbase 7 would be the first to know about it. They are specifically designed to monitor this area of space, answered Spock, preparing to dock. Their hatch door slid open to reveal a small informal welcoming committee. Sarek ceremoniously saluted and accepted their introductions in kind. I am not alone. She, that is my wife. He held out both index and middle finger together expectantly, as Amanda joined him, touching hers to his as was custom. My son and his colleague are also with me. Sarek studied the expressions of the surrounding officers, searching their reactions. Besides some anxiety and surprise at their unexpected arrival, all seemed normal. The commander of the station, a middle-aged man of Earth's African descent, greeted them at the turbolift. Ambassador, I am told you are here to retrieve some files. To what do I owe the honor of meeting your family as well? He asked politely. My wife often accompanies me. My son and his colleague have chosen to be my escort for this particular visit, as I do not intend to linger. Understandable. But weren't you stationed aboard the Enterprise? The man asked Spock in interest. Legend indeed. Kevin noticed that he had left his cane behind and was managing well enough without it. Spock nodded solemnly. There was an incident. Yes, we heard about that. My condolences to you. It was a fine ship and a damn fine crew. Kevin relaxed. This guy can't be involved. Excuse me, but may I ask what you have heard regarding the Enterprise? Spock pressed, apparently trusting the man as well. The commander's expression changed to one of perplexion. Only that you suffered a warp core malfunction, not far from the station. But that is public knowledge, of course. The turbolift doors opened, and they were led down a few halls toward the intelligence region of the space station. The commander placed his hand on a panel which read his vitals and prints, confirming his identity. He stepped aside so that Sarek could do the same. Kevin was just beginning to wonder if he could be granted access when Sarek addressed them. I will not be long. My wife, you may do as you wish. Amanda bowed her head slightly and departed. Spock and Kevin casually followed suit as the commander and Sarek entered the secret room. My father will gather intel. Our assignment is to locate a suitable vessel in the allotted time frame, Spock stated. Can I help? Amanda offered, glancing between them eagerly. Mother, I do not want you more involved than you already are. I could create a diversion, try and draw security away from the dockways, she explained, ignoring her son's protest. Kevin smiled. Not a bad idea, honestly, but we'll need you close in case we're discovered. Precisely, Mr. Riley. Spock raised an eyebrow at Amanda. If the risks are within reason, I will permit it. That is, if a diversion is needed at all. Amanda shot a sideways wink at Kevin, who snickered quietly. Locating the proper vessel was step one. Kevin knew they would have to pull a docking list from a computer console. That information was secretly kept from visitors, so hacking into the database would be difficult and probably alert security. That is, unless pulled directly from the security room console. Spock was already onto it. He steered them down an adjacent hall, leading toward the epicenter of the base, where the population was densest. Bars, shops, and restaurants lined the open walkways crowded with people, ranging from Andorians to Tellarites. The atmosphere reminded Kevin of Earth, with strange palms and ferns aesthetically placed along walkways and against the drab walls, creating an immersive environment. Hiding the ceiling was a holographic projection of clouds and filtered sunlight, finishing the effect. Not a bad place for shore leave. I believe the security room is this way, Spock said, breaking Kevin from his sightseeing. How do you know? He asked, blushing, as a beautiful Andorian woman smiled coyly at him from across an open-faced bar. All Starfleet establishments follow the same basic design on the surface. Security can more efficiently respond to a crisis when stationed directly in the center of where most situations take place, the civilian sector. Kevin glanced around, quickly pinpointing multiple security officers in red uniform, standing guard. We can't just walk in. We'll need the security code. Boy, is this place crawling with people. Amanda cleared her throat expectantly. I think I can manage to draw their attention while you boys break in. What kind of distraction did you have in mind? Asked Spock, already regretting it. Amanda gave him a mischievous grin and strode off without answer. Kevin watched her go, impressed. Sir, your mom's pretty cool. Really? His face was disapproving, but Kevin picked up the slightest hint of a smile, pulling at the corner of his mouth. In any case, we better prepare. There is the entrance, I believe. Kevin peered through the crowd and noticed an almost hidden metallic door, camouflaged against a backdrop of fox stone. 2 security men stood on either side of it. What's the plan? My mother is waiting for me to first acquire the entrance code. I will need a guard in order to... He paused as he spotted one turning down an adjacent hallway toward the station quarters, alone. Remain here. I will not be long. Kevin approached the nearest vendor discreetly, as Spock weaved through the crowd after the retreating guard. He pretended to be interested in some jewelry, but his false perusing turned genuine at the various rare stones the seller had in ample supply. Impressive, yes? An elderly Tellarite male leaned over the glass counter toward him. His black eyes were rather sunken and beady, and his skin was dark and weathered underneath the wiry white hair that framed his pinkish face. Kevin nodded, tearing his eyes from the display. Did you mine these yourself? He asked. The seller snorted. Ha! With this decrepit bag of bones? No, boy. I've got a contract with various freighters carrying mining cargo through this region. He picked up a necklace, lined with bright green emeralds. Unlike dilithium, these serve no purpose but to be worn around pretty little necks. Tell me, boy, do you have a mate? He shook his head. The seller snorted. No surprise there. That's a face only a mother could love. Show your appreciation with one of these. He lifted another necklace, made of polished lapis lazuli. Kevin automatically glanced at Amanda, who was several yards away, busying herself at a clothing stand. They locked eyes for a moment and continued. I don't have a mother either, Kevin admitted, with a hint of longing. Ah, then why are you wasting my time? Shoo, off with you, the Tellarite bellowed, waving him away with his strange, pig-like hoof. Kevin rolled his eyes in annoyance. Walk away, Kevin. It's not worth drawing attention to yourself, he thought, but a strange curiosity held him in place. Fine, he grunted. I'll leave, but first I have a question for you. Is that so? Kevin leaned closer. Have any of your providers mentioned anything unusual in or near this sector of space? Who's asking? He grunted vaguely. A Starfleet lieutenant. I was supposed to meet someone here, but they're, long overdue. The Tellarite didn't immediately respond. He fixed Kevin with prying eyes, as if looking for an excuse to dodge the question. He finally heaved an incredible sigh and replied, I was told to keep my mouth shut, but I fail to see why it matters. I was expecting a ship a few weeks ago, actually, the Griva. They were due to dock here for general repairs and R&R. Almost always they provide me with a hefty sum of moonstones and other rare minerals as well. Kevin's pulse quickened. May I ask who told you to keep quiet? I won't rat you out. Hardly matters now, boy. The human's no longer on this station. Hasn't been for weeks. I'd still like to know, sir, Kevin prodded, wearing his most innocent look. He found it unnerving to know the answer before the Tellarite even opened his mouth in reply. Nevertheless, his stomach flipped at the name. An Admiral Kozak, I believe it was.